Check, check. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Resurrection Annual Meeting. We'll get started tonight. We'll have the agenda here up on screen for a little bit, but I'm going to start and hand off to Bridget for a welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bridget Irwin. I am the outgoing trustee secretary, and I appreciate you all very much being here tonight. It's such a busy time of year. I've come to realize in recent years that May is what we call mayhem, crazier than December. Lots going on, end of the school year type stuff. But this meeting is important. It's more than just a formality and something that we're checking off because the bylaws require it. It's kind of a state of the parish of sorts, and really nice to come together, and we very much appreciate you all making the time tonight. So with that, I will turn it over to Father Tom for a prayer.
Before that, you're going from trustee to?
Yes, I am leaving the parish pastoral council, and I'll be joining the Grace Board of Trustees. My kids are in school here, and one more year left on SAC, so I think that'll be a nice transition. So.
Nice.
Where do I stand? Bridget was fine. You were over there.
That's about where she was standing.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay. All right. So again, welcome. It's a beautiful opportunity to come together, and as pastor here at Resurrection, it's a great opportunity to share my thoughts and sense of where we are and what we're about. But I'm going to do that mainly through all of you. Our pastoral council's here, committee chairs are here, people who are going to be sharing a lot of things that are happening around the parish. And that's what I like about being a pastor. It's not all on me. It's not all on me. I gather, I pray, and I bring about a sense of mission and purpose, and I hopefully surround myself with a lot of amazing people. And that I have, and I do. So I want to thank you for all of that. I'll give you thank yous a little bit later, but I want to say a prayer from Thomas Merton, one of my favorite prayers, because it talks about, again, we don't really know where we're going, and just to emphasize that fact in prayer. And so, my Lord God, I have no idea where I'm going. I do not see the road ahead of me. I cannot know for certain where it will end. Nor do I really know myself, and the fact that I think that I am following your will does not mean that I am actually doing so. But I believe that the desire to please you does, in fact, please you. And I hope that that desire in all that I am doing. I hope that I will never do anything apart from that desire. And I know that if I do this, you will lead me by the right road, though I may know nothing about it. Therefore I will trust you always, though I may seem to be lost and in the shadow of death. I will not fear, for you are ever with me, and you will never leave me to face my perils alone. It's that desire that we ask of ourselves to be in that prayer with God, that God's desire for us. I hope and pray that God's desire is stronger than mine. That God desires me and us to be here as Resurrection Parish, and that this desire through the Holy Spirit may guide us, strengthen us, even when we don't know where we're going, which is a good thing, but to lead us and guide us on this journey of faith and hope. So again, Lord, bless this evening, that we may share who we are, what we're about as our mission, and the vision in which we are about, and we will continue to partake and be as Resurrection Parish. As we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
So before we get into, I'll say report outs from some of the different staff members on their respective areas. There are a few housekeeping things we need to take care of tonight. One of them is the approval of the minutes from the 2023 annual meeting. So there were copies at the desk when you guys were checking in. I'm going to give you guys a few moments to kind of read through that, ask any questions any questions related to that, and if not, I'll be asking for a motion to approve the minutes from last year.
I will make a motion to approve.
Richard is making a motion to approve the minutes. Do I get a second from anyone?
Second.
Who seconded?
Dave.
Dave.
All in favor? Aye. All right. So one other thing then as well, we do want to acknowledge the current pastoral staff, or I'm sorry, the current pastoral council members. So if you're here tonight, why don't you stand up, introduce yourselves and the committee that you are currently working towards. So Peter's right to my right, so.
Peter Burnett, I'm working with buildings and grounds.
I'm Mark Schiffer, and I have been working with Faith Formation this year. Bruce Malone, Secretary.
Molly Tunin, Health and Wellness. Heather Milbach, Family Life.
Brian Mission Outreach. David Selby, Worship.
Yeah, I think that's it. So, and so with that, I'm going to pass it off to Andy to do the finance report.
Sounds good. Try not to stand underneath that.
And then you have a clicker as well.
Holy smokes.
I know, you can like, Katie's prepared.
We'll give it a shot here. Thanks. Just in terms of introduction, my name's Andy Arnold. I'm the finance chair. My wife and I and two boys have been DePere residents for about 14 years and members of the parish for about the exact same amount of time. Currently, I am the corporate treasurer at Associated Bank. I've been there for the entire 14 years that I've been in the community. And then for the last, it's probably been about a year, a little over a year, I've been serving as the chair of the council. Pleased to report, and let's see if I can get this to work here. All right. The financials of the parish have been strong. Not only the financials, but the leadership's under Bill Campion and his leadership and efforts really have helped tighten up all of the activities that we have. We're getting very good transparency into the monthly activities. We meet quarterly. We receive financials on a monthly basis, which we can review and kind of monitor the status. When we look at kind of top of the house, this is for the fiscal year July to April. Both revenue and expenses are favorable. We'll go into it really briefly, which is of last year. Yeah, through April. So 2023 to 2024, April of
Right.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Thank you. So we're positive 74 in total. When we look at a little bit of the revenue, I think that the number one thing that we want to point out, and Bill, you said there's a slide here, a couple in. The main thing we want to talk about, or main thing I want to bring up, is the sacrificial giving. We actually, for the first time in a while, have a positive variance to budget as we sat through last April. It looks like we're continuing on as we march through for the rest of this fiscal year. Trying to see here. I don't know if, well,
I know where Katie hided it.
you may be hiding it. We'll see it when it gets here in a little bit. But the key thing I want to point out there is the goal the budget for the sacrificial giving for this year was $1 million. That is about $70,000 above what it was from last year. And the key as well, there's still some what I'd call structural challenges overall with revenue. That's actually a positive trend, and the first time we've seen a positive trend in the last 3-4 years. So, that's really says a lot about the community and the giving that they're doing, but bottom line, that helps the parish continue to deliver on all the efforts that you're going to hear about later today. On the expense side, two things to mention here. Personnel, again, I think while the revenue has been a positive story, I think overall it's been a very thoughtful way that the expenses have been managed, a lot through personnel and through those efforts. All of the things that we've been able to accomplish here as a community has been able to get done, and quite frankly, a little lower than budget, which I think really says something. The other thing on educational expenses, those have been a little higher. I think there's been some HVAC challenges. I think that's a good way to put it. And those are some of the things that continue to come out and that we kind of have to address over time. But overall, again, a positive story. We talked about just the summary here. Talked about sacrificial giving, staff changes have helped out a little bit. And then again, net operating income at this point, actually through April, is positive. And that's all I have. So I'll pause and see if there's any questions for me or ask questions that I'll pass over to Bill if there are any.
Andy, I just had one. You had mentioned that there's some concern about structural issues on the revenue.
No, when I talk about structural, I think, what I'm talking about there is, it's been a challenging time for all parishes, in the diocese and in a greater area. I think there's always been a concern about being able to maintain the revenue side. With some of the attendance, issues that parishes have experienced around the country. So that's why it's really important when we see this that we're starting to level off and starting to turn back towards a positive direction. I don't think that's necessarily what everyone's seeing, and it's an important thing that we maintain that and maintain that support, because that's really what's going to fuel the ability to continue to meet all of the demands that we have from our community and all the ways that we're looking to support the community.
Okay, thanks.
Coming from COVID.
Right. Yeah. COVID obviously hit everything. That kind of accelerated a lot of things. And now we're starting to level off and go up. So, yes.
I just was wondering where it says educational subsidies, that you were listed, you had personnel.
Yep.
And educational subsidies. Is that Grace primarily, or is that including all the educational ministries in the parish?
I believe that is primarily the Grace subsidies and Notre Dame Academy.
Yeah. And next year we get a very favorable. We don't owe as much next year for Grace because they're finally reshuffling how they're spreading out the expenses over the various parishes. So we will have a very positive help to our budget next year.
So does that mean then that other expenses is where everything else is followed?
Right, like
For
that's
all the ministries and outreach
correct.
and
Insurance.
Yeah, those have largely been right along with what the expectations were. The unexpected, facilities is really what was driving the extra expense there.
Yeah.
So of the other expenses, how much of that is education in the parish? And how much of that is building?
Well, that
I don't have
covers
those numbers in my-
insurance. I mean,
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's just be mindful of them here.
I don't have the exact forms in front of me right now. A good share, probably, buildings and grounds is almost half of it. of that 200,000. When you look at what it costs to heat this place, air conditioning, you know, snow plowing, that type of deal, that's over 100,000 of that other expenses. And then the rest is roughly about 20,000 for faith formation, 20,000 for worship, and 20,000 for some other little things, to be quite honest. So the majority is your keeping the lights on and making sure that when things get break, we repair them. Because this is a beautiful facility here.
Just one question.
Couple questions. First, I assume you're on a cash accounting, not an accrual.
Yes.
The revenue from rent, what does that come from on the rent?
That Grace pays us a rent to the school.
Okay.
So that's the majority of it, yes.
Okay, then, if you had a net income, what was your net income? And if it is positive, what do you do with those funds?
If we have a positive net income, it'll probably go back to like capital expenditures to continue to repair things, correct?
Thank you. Do you know what the net income was?
Well, right now we're tracking at 74,000 for the first 10 months. And so we have 2 months to go. Hopefully that we'll have a good June with being this our last month of our fiscal year. And, you know, ideally it'd be nice to be close to 100,000 that we could put back into capital improvements.
Thank you.
Questions?
All right, thank you. And I will hand it on to Jerry.
Oh, I get the clicker.
And the clicker. I'm not keeping it.
Sorry.
That might be fun though, Andy, right? Like Jerry's talking and you're moving them around.
Okay, so my name is Jerry Fowler. I'm the Finance Council trustee, so I think I always run into everybody at some point in time. I've been here since 1986, and I'm sure several of you have been here as long or longer, but we're.
Any other job?
I'm sorry?
Your other job?
I have 2 other jobs. Welcome to Grace Board. I was active with Grace for 5 years as the finance director there. I retired there a few years ago. Thought I'd retire, then ended up getting hooked up with St. Vincent de Paul, so I'm now the finance director at St. Vincent de Paul, and I also help out here with facilities and fund development and things like that. So we have 3 BAs. Bill, Kevin, and I share the role. So last year I sat right where Tony is, and I applauded Father for his efforts on 1 by 1. I don't know if that's why they asked me to run this slide or not.
You clapped the loudest.
I clapped the loudest, but so we have approximately 700 units in the parish. 272 of them, I guess that's not all units of the parish, but we received 272 pledges in the 1 by 1 campaign, which is, again, Father led this. I think several of us were on different committees, and we all did some work in fundraising, but a lot of it is, how do you say no to your pastor? So as a parish, we raised 1.7 million. So far, and a lot of it is pledges, okay, but so far we've done fabulous, I think. We've collected 1.1 million. Now, there's a little, so that's money that goes into the diocese. What is actually our part is $775,000. Because some of the funds that the diocese raised on 1 by 1 under, I was gonna say Grace, under RES, went directly to diocese activities. So it's not falling to the parishes. It's not unique to RES, it's just the way the campaign ran. So we will have a total of $775,000 coming our way. Now what have we done with it so far? We have some things that are in our case statement. Obviously, Vibrant Parish, we pledged over 3 years, we targeted $150,000 of the funds received towards Vibrant Parish, $50,000 towards outreach. We did a study of the lower level, i.e. basement, which was about $10,000 to see what that could be used for. We made some other facility enhancements, school exterior doors, church doors, the AV system here. We're also working on, if you've been in the back of churches, it looks a lot better than it did last Tuesday. So thankfully, Peter Tillman is leading that project, and the last pew on the right side is where the AV station was. It's being converted to the new AV station, and it's about $150,000 for the equipment that we're going to be adding for that. That's again coming out of the 1 by 1 campaign. There's some other things in the case statement which it hasn't matured enough to sort out what we're going to do with those funds, but those are what's been committed and or used to date. And obviously we don't have all the money because it's pledged, so it's still coming in. Any questions on that?
So only 272 people out of how many people in the parish?
Well, we have about 700 units, right?
Giving units.
Giving units. Frank?
Sure, I had a question on the basement study. Are you or is anyone going to talk about what's the results of that study? What did it find, or? I haven't heard, I knew the study was taking place, but I've never heard any results.
This is the time where I go under where it's feedback. I don't know the results of the study.
Oh.
I don't know if.
I can share a little bit. Yeah, so the study came through, and we had a basic design in our brains as far as a gathering space like this, conference area. It would have a mini kitchen kind of thing, and a large area for tables, any other gatherings. So it would give us, and maybe hopefully will give us someday, another option to use besides this. So the biggest problem and issue is this is a walkthrough for everything else that happens in the parish. And so to have a kind of a quiet retreat gathering space, it's not as feasible. It's challenging. So the study came out, and it turned out that it's about a little over $600,000 would be needed for that total renovation to make it as we hope and dream. And we're just waiting for a big donor to come through and say, hey, let's do this.
Is that a hit?
Did you raise your hand? Mary Kate, raise your hand.
It's like an auction, Mary Kate. Raise your hand.
So the study gave us the options for future reference as far as where we can go with that.
So what are we gonna do with all the junk that's in there?
Well, actually, we had, remember the big dumpster that was out here when we redid the pews? Yeah, a lot of things went in there at that point, and others can go.
It barely made a dent, though. Part of the study was actually to have a space down there for storage.
I don't think this is under my 5 minutes, right? Do I have 2 minutes to cover? So one of the things that I'm doing with the parish is helping a lot of different areas and trying to get things over the finish line. So for example, as Andy mentioned, we have an HVAC system that needs attention. Kevin, I really like Kevin, we work well together, but every morning the poor guy was having to text us because some part of our facility was down and so forth. So we did all kinds of discussions with vendors, and we decided to make it, we're gonna actually have a preventative maintenance system, which we never had before. And thankfully Bill is finding room in our budget to do that, which is also maybe an answer to the question of if we have an overage, what happens to that money. We're also gonna implement a building automation system, which is in process, and these things aren't cheap. But what it does, it's investing in the future. Our system, some of it dates back to 1960, or thereabouts when we built, and we just need some attention to that, and so that's going to help overall. The church, for example, one day I think it was 52 degrees or somewhere in there. Next day it could be 102 degrees. So it's obviously not very energy efficient, so we're working on changing that. Another thing which think I'm still under my 4.5 minutes, is poor Katie is having to deal with our tech. For those of you who are tech people, our servers are 16 years old, which again, we're a church and we pray a lot and we say novenas when we look at the servers, because 16 years is way past the useful life of a server. It's a risky situation. We're exploring what to do with the tech process. So that's also part of what I'm doing here. So any questions on facilities or?
You know, when you're talking about this money, Jerry, we set up many years ago, before COVID sometime, an endowment that covered technology. What, is that still active, and what's the amount of money coming off of that?
It is, and we have a lot of tech expenses, but we haven't bought equipment. We have, for example, we have a $3,200 bill, which has to do with the annual license. You know, and so there's a lot of expenses related to tech that just keep growing. The equipment is the biggest need. I usually get here about a half hour, start my computer, I come back, and then it's still firing up. So there's just a lot of things we need to do with our actual devices.
Is there any way to change that so the actual money can be used for that rather than just have it sitting there?
It's not just sitting there, it's truly being
earning
used.
money, but I mean, it's earning money, but can we, and that endowment, can we change it so we can spend the principal?
We don't wanna do that.
Well, so Mike Simmer, who is our most immediate finance trustee, has taken the lead on working with our endowments and reviewing them. We're working with the diocese. We cannot take the principal out. We can take earnings, but that's all been taken. That's all been.
But I thought maybe that there would be a way we could change that. So I mean, what is it set up so it's so solid that you can never change it?
Unless we go back to the donors and changing the donor intent. But I think we're going to be fine. Right now, we're at the point of getting proposals from our tech vendor, and we're not going to be able to flip a switch and do everything at once. It's just that some of these projects are, you know, I don't want to say they've been ignored. We've been doing everything we can with the money we have, but some things we just pushed down the road maybe too long. So.
In round numbers, that endowment is about 400,000, and we basically can use about 5%.
In round numbers, the facilities and technology endowment is around $400,000 that we can use 5%, so we can use $20,000 each year. And so we have used that this year.
But not in equipment, in licenses and.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Oh.
If not, I think Carolyn's next.
Should I give her the clicker, or this is kind of fun?
I'll only give her one.
You're off the clock.
So am I paying?
Please. No, I don't really.
All right, my name is Carolyn Epperson. I'm overseeing the faith formation for K through 5, and then I also oversee family life and health and wellness. And I did ask tonight 2 other people to cover those 2 areas, and I will go through this page with you. So as you know, our faith formation program still remains an intergenerational program, and we will continue that. We did add this year our Shine Nights, which were for K through 5, and we had between 25 and 30 kids each time that engaged in activity with us. So they had a lot of fun. It was an exhausting hour, but it was great to have them with us. And that will continue this next year. Sacramental, First Communion, and Reconciliation will continue as normal. Our numbers are down. I don't know if you saw the news recently, and they were talking about the fact that the number of students in the Green Bay area is down substantially. They're going to combine more schools. Well, partly that affects us too, so we'll keep plugging along. Liturgy of the Word, Rosemary has been really coordinating Word for Art, though. Do you want to say anything on Liturgy of the Word? I just know that that program has gone really well, so.
We have, I prepare usually for 35 kids each weekend, and the readings and help them do some activities and things during the during the homily time at Mass, and it seems to be working quite well. We don't always use all 35 don't usually come, but we're close to 35 most weekends. Sometimes Father Tom. Father Tom has maybe 2 or 3 bulletins left, and that kind of lets us know how many kids have really participated. So I think it was wonderful helpers. Molly's a helper, Heather's a helper. We've got, I don't know anybody else in here, we have a lot of good helpers. So it works very well.
So that's well received. Yeah, Kitty, you're another one. In addition to the Liturgy of the Word, our Vacation Bible School has really taken off thanks to Wendy King. The two of us have been working together for this year, and right now we have about 54 students enrolled. Last time we had around 60, so we still have 2 months of enrollment to go, so Lord help us so we have enough volunteers. Next year's theme, this year, as you know, we did scripture, or sacraments. This next year, we're going to focus on prayer. So our theme is going to be pray always and pray always. So you'll see that coming throughout the year. We will be adding a component, if you will, of adding more prayer experiences. Right now, we do offer a lot of them, but we're going to look at, are there other things that we could do throughout the year that would enhance that theme and give people a variety of experiences. We will obviously continue Vacation Bible School next year as well. One thing I wanted to do this year, and it didn't take off, but looking at next year, I already talked to Father Tom today, is the Kids Pray Show. I have done this in other parishes, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of work, but a lot of fun. I just need the kids. So really, it's a musical that the kids put on that's full of life and energy, and I just think that would really help beef up the kids' involvement and things here in the parish. So I'm hoping I can get the kids to join us for that event. So I will be working with the school to see about getting those kids and the kids from the GOD program to pull that off. So that's my hope. Other things that I'm involved in, this last year we did the Ecumenical Christmas Concert. I am going to be trying to make that happen again. We had 9 parishes join us last year from different denominations. It went very well. We had a nice turnout, and the people who were involved had a great time. So that's something we'll continue to look at. This next coming year, looking at a chef-off competition. So we'll get teams of people to support a king chef and it'll be a big dinner to have competition between the meals. So. And then as far as parish, I'm sorry? Oh. Any question on this?
No.
Side remark?
I think Sheila would be a great chef.
Oh, I know that already. I know it. I know it. So start thinking about your meal. You have to have your hors d'oeuvres, you have to have your salad, your meal. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. The event is just really a good time for the parish. And then parish development, I will be working a little bit with Jerry and Father Tom in the area of development this next year, more in the planning of special events throughout the parish. So those are some of the things that I'm doing. In addition to, I'm going to have Heather come up. I also oversee and partake in health and wellness and family life.
So I am going to talk just a little bit about family life and what we've done the past year, and then looking forward to next year. So the past year we've been doing goodie bags for kids after Mass. So we've been brainstorming, right? Families these days are super busy. It's really hard to get people to add something else to their calendar. So how can we easily reach families in their home through different ways. So the goodie bags is one of them. So All Saints Day, St. Valentine's, St. Patrick, Mardi Gras, and then we're trying to do some high school exam bags. So just a way for us to outreach into the home. And in those bags there's like a little prayer card, maybe a little snack for the kids, an activity, just to kind of have faith being part of their home routine and something that they're seeing at home, not just at church. Same with the blessings. We've done back to school blessings. We do a blessing over married couples, Mother's, Father's Day, birthdays, anniversaries, and those happen during Mass or before or after Mass. And then some of our favorite events that we've done with family life, the egg hunt after Easter Sunday Mass, which is very well attended. We do a pancake. Yes, St. Nick, the pancake breakfast after the St. Nick Mass, another favorite for families as well, and we've done a family bowling that's been intergenerational, and it's great to get a lot of different family units together for that. So some of those activities listed there, I'm assuming we will also be doing in 2024, 2025 as well. This next year, actually June 23rd, so coming up here, we are going to have a miscarriage and infant loss memorial. We used to have this at the parish. I think when COVID hit, we didn't do it, and we haven't brought it back yet, so we're excited to bring that back for families that have experienced that type of loss. There will also be a 90s birthday party. I'm told the theme, over 100 parishioners, age 89 and up have been invited. So that number was actually surprising to me. It was yeah, interesting to see that we have that many parishioners who are over 90. But the theme will be These Hands Have. And just kind of celebrate. Everyone will have a picture of their hands and talk about what those hands have done, and then there'll be display at the parish as well, so to kind of have that live on beyond just the event date. And the Grandparents' Day Retreat is about an every other year, so that won't be this summer. I believe it'll be next summer that we have that again, which is another great way to get those generations together and focus on family. And then we are also planning an October trivia night for parishioners as well, so more information to come on that. That is family life, and I believe...
Molly's next.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna set this down so I don't hit the wrong one. So I am on the Health and Wellness Committee. We have been pretty active just throughout the parish, and I haven't been as involved as some people, but we've updated the first aid kits, the AEDs, so those are all, you know, checked on a monthly basis. By part of our committee. They do the flu clinics, which seem to be pretty popular when we got the update, blood drives, as well as Florence Nightingale tributes if someone from our parish passes away that is in the nursing background. The other things we've done to promote health are have some of the exercises classes and walking in the gym, which I know people have participated in, especially in winter when it's slippery outside. Those are really nice activities that our parish does. And then most recently we had the collection for the women's shelter, and they did collect a number of items that they distributed to various agencies in the area. Looking forward to 2024, 2025, we do have our first podcast now on the website done by Roger Vandenbush, who is a professional counselor in drug and alcohol addiction, and it's called One for the Road, and there's plans to do more podcasts there on mental and physical health issues. The other thing that they're going to be doing here is CPR training for all the ushers and the ministers, so that'll be starting in fall of 2024. And we haven't done blood pressure screens for a number of years, but those are also coming back again in 2024. So that's the update from Health and Wellness.
Thank you, Molly.
All right, thanks, Molly. I think Wayne, you're next.
I just have one slide. I think the next, look at the worship. Go back.
I think you might be past that.
No, worship was last. So
There it is.
Oh,
Oh, it is. Go to the back one. Can you go back one, Mike?
Katie's got the power. She can make us go back one.
There we are, okay.
Round of applause for Katie.
Hey. So, since I've been here, I've been working with staff, and our staff is, since coming out of COVID, we did a lot of the planning and preparation for liturgies at a weekly basis, and we do the major liturgical celebrations of Advent, Christmas, Lent, and Easter. And we've been working with head groups for liturgical ministers, Eucharistic ministers, primaries, ushers, servers, and then with the art and environment, it's a kind of a piecemeal, kind of ad hoc group that we use for the particular seasons. So in addition, we have the music coordinator, Michelle Becker, who is in on all this preparation for the major feasts, and also the weekly liturgy planning. So I communicate all that with her and through our staff, and we, you know, everything is kind of weekly planned out that way. As for the areas of funerals, I'm kind of taking over that and working with families in terms of the preparing the funerals, and I meet with individuals, families when needed. Father Tom does quite a few of those, but I do a number of those in terms of scheduling the dates, the funeral, the visitation. Sometimes there's a luncheon that's here. I coordinate that with the staff, the bereavement team, the servers, the funeral choir, and music ministers, funeral directors, the Women's Guild, and the AV live stream, and again, the funeral homes. So to date, we have like 27 deaths this year to date. And then we do our annual memorial celebration in November around All Souls Day, and that takes place. And as you see each week, you'll see, not every week, but most weeks, you'll see individuals on the screens, their picture, and date of birth and death. And that just to help all of us, the whole parish, remember who these individuals are and were in our community. And then the area of Holy Communion, again, this past week with the solemnity of the body blood of Christ, Corpus Christi, we offered the cup for the first time since COVID. And we'll do it again, I think, unless Father wants to do it at weddings and certain other special celebrations. We're not able to do that until Christ the King in November. So that's kind of a limited time. This year is one thing that Jerry, I was looking on his list there, but I think, if I'm not incorrect, that the new digital piano was part of that 1x1.
I don't remember where the money came from, to be honest.
I think it was, but I think it came through there, but it was part of the 1x1. And also, I'll be working with Jerry with the issues of maintaining our current organ and maintaining it and keeping it going, and then looking at long-term, how do we look at what are our needs for the organ and how do we keep it going. And also with the new AV system coming in, starting in, I think, sometime in July, the installation, be working with various people, especially Katie, in terms of coordinating that with all the musicians and people who will be using it. Any questions?
So I have just a general one on the AV system. Is it basically we're going to have the screen still? Everything's going to just be more modern, easier to use, sound better? Is that what the upgrade is?
Yeah, basically we're just replacing parts and major hardware. Yeah. So yeah, I think the plan is to have laser projectors, so that will be very noticeable, kind of like up here. You see.
Right here. I think you're up, Kevin.
want to run that quicker?
I do.
All right.
I gotta go all the way back though, but.
I've only got 2 slides, so I can delegate you.
Okay, that's fine.
So I am Kevin, husband of Jody, grandfather of 7, deacon. Did you catch the order? Tell Jody I said that, all right. So want to give just a quick run through on what we call Vibrant Parish. And really to make it simple, just look around the room. This is the Vibrant Parish. It's all of you. You know, some of the things that make my job easier there is the engaging all of you and beyond you in the things that we have going on. So are you surprised to see that we've got 238 events that we planned over the last year? And that's just to give you some examples, like, well, what's an event? Well, exercise class, that's an event. Mardi Gras is going to be for next year. This past year we did the St. Bridget, the Kentucky Home. You know, that would be an event. Walk to Mary training group. We had a group getting together on Saturday mornings. That's an event. So those are the types of events, including worship and other things you'd see in the bulletin. So that is Vibrant Parish. I'm not aware of many other parishes in the Green Bay Diocese that are doing that many offerings. I want to share a little bit about a few other things in engaging our community. So when I came on board, we had a small handful of pastoral care folks that were out visiting hospitals, nursing homes, and all. And as of January of this year, a year later, we've got over 25 people that are trained to go into hospitals, nursing homes, putting on communion services, visiting shut-ins. And I'm really excited that just this week alone, we added 3. Mike Cross has said yes. He's going to be helping. There's Lois Novak and Jeanette Kryshak has come back to help in that area. So if you see them, give them a big hug for pastoral care. Small groups, Father had suggested, you know, how do we get more small groups going? I actually went down and met with his brother down in Appleton just to see how he was doing it. And we've grown from 4 to 14 small groups in over a year. So some good work there. I want to invite Kitty to come up, talk a little bit about stewardship. Absolutely, that we have here. So we've got Sylvia, who's on the stewardship team, and Dawn, and who am I missing here? And you and Kitty. Well, of course, you're going to talk about it. You're a leader.
Thank you. I have good news to share. Not the good news, but good news. We have 34 new members last fiscal year, and this fiscal year, and we're not even finished yet, we have 35 new members.
As of today, the 35th.
So that's 41% over what we had the 3 previous years, so that's really terrific. Kevin meets with each new family and provides them with a packet of information, gives them a tour, explains stewardship, talks to them about their own interests in giving. We do have a new member packet, but we're in the process of updating that. So when that's updated, he'll bring one to Parish Council, and we'll also have one available for individuals. So one of the other events that we did, yes?
Could you or Kevin, could you share a little bit of why people are coming here? What hits them as this is my place to be?
Yeah, I mean, it is a great question. And what's really cool, what I love about the new membership opportunity, I usually will meet them right after Mass, and I'll give them a tour through the office. I have this thing I call walking the wall. So we've got a long wall in the back of the office that I've got every calendar, you know, January, February, March. And then I list these events out that happen each month, and I just show them, and many of them are like, wow. But anyway, you get to know them a little more intimately in terms of what's going on. It's a variety, but I would say folks are coming here because they're feeling our movement towards loving all God's people, being inclusive, meeting people where they're at, being a parish that you might classify it as a big tent in that we are loving all. We have folks that may have a particular thing that's really important to them, and that's okay. They sit next to someone that might believe things differently, and we still work together. So that's some of it, but I hear all kinds of reasons.
Welcoming, I hear all the time.
Very welcoming, yes. The welcoming at the doors, and into church, and yes, so.
Well, I think Father Tom wanted you to say Father Tom. Didn't he? No. Okay. Two other members of our stewardship committee, Bill and Jenny Hawley, spearheaded the new member dinner that we had, a hospitality dinner. Now, for those of you that have been with the parish for a long time, we used to have hospitality dinners, and so we resurrected that again and had approximately 40 people there. We had some parishioners who I think had been there, had joined just within the month. So we had some very new members there. Although there wasn't an official final evaluation, I think those in attendance really enjoyed themselves, had a great time. Well, I had a good time, but I mean, I think they had a good time. So I was really impressed with the fact that there was some really organized children and youth activities that were going on that evening. So families could come, their toddlers could be right here, their youth were outside. So that was a really great, a great thing to see. And then lastly, we're working on our membership renewal, and I know all of you have renewed your membership on the computer.
Yes, Kitty.
You have. Great. As of today, Katie said we have 155 individuals who have completed this new membership renewal. We have 730 contributing members, so we have a long way to go to get to that number. So the committee's going to be looking at ways that we can reach the individuals who exit out the our west doors, since they don't come through the gathering area, or those individuals who participate in Mass using streaming services, or those who just walk right by us when we're trying to get them to come in and register. So a special shout out to Katie, because she wrote this program, saved the parish thousands of dollars.
Just a couple more words. Looking back at this past year, a number of you were involved in the 60th anniversary planning, and just how that all came together was amazing. I want to thank Dawn and Jody for their leadership with the photo directory. We're at about 450 people in there now. It's a living, breathing photo directory, so we can continue to add new members as they're coming in. If you got the app, you can see that right away, and then we can print updates as the year goes on. You know, the golf outing that we had last year, and we've got one teed up here for June. Great way to get people together. The work that was put into the 60 days to the 60-year anniversary was incredible. If you had a chance to read the memories and see some of the pictures and things, it was really well done. So Katie, call out to you, but to so many that were involved in making that happen. Sheila and Rosemary and everyone else involved. And then the banquet we had last September, I know many of you were there, but just a great relationship building, social gathering, again, celebrating who we are. One more thing I want to share is the next slide. There we go, you nailed it. So every year we have to report into the diocese on 6 of these items here. You know, Mass attendance, Wayne talked a little bit about that, but we're running, you know, close to what we were last year. Contributing units, we're going to be, you know, probably within about 25 of that this year. Baptisms, last year you can see we had 18. I know those numbers are kind of small. At this point this year we're at 25. We've got another one coming up in 2 weeks, so we'll be 26. And that's a good indicator for the parish to see baptisms up. Marriages, we're right about where we were last year. Last year was 9. This year we'll end with 8. I wish I could count those that I prepare that end up going to other churches. You know, like Arizona, and I got one in Mackinac Island, and because there's a lot of other preps going on. So anyway, that's kind of by the numbers. Any questions on what you've heard, seen? Good. All right. Tony. He's amazing with the clicker.
How many clickers? How many clickers?
Like 4 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
I only have 2 slides. All right, so I have Tony Pickler is my name, Mission Outreach Director, and so I've got 2 areas. One is adult enrichment, and the other is mission outreach. Just want to talk a little bit first about adult enrichment. Now, my view on adult enrichment is that my role is to coordinate a whole smorgasbord of activities, of enrichment and formation for all of you and all of the parishioners here. And so I really need to be listening and discerning and trying to figure out what's needed, what's wanted, what's desired in this parish. And so this past year, and I really look at these annual meetings as kind of like the year in review. This isn't everything, but it's kind of some of the highlights I just wanted to touch on with you. So first of all, we had the Lenten Parish Mission with Father Ed Shea, and it was super popular, both, I thought, in person as well as online. The Women's Guild made that happen with their contributions of not only monetary contributions, but providing the socials every night. I just thought that Father Ed hit a home run every single night. And so we asked him, and we've really got him to sign on the dotted line to come back this next year to do a similar thing. Each year we do this spirituality day at the shrine, and last year was a really popular day. Again, it was Ed Shea, and that's why we got him to come back for the mission. This year we're planning again in August, and we've got another good lineup of people. That's a really interesting program in the fact that it's the men's group, spirituality group from here at Resurrection, combining with the Seton spirituality group, that men's group. They combine together, and all I do is serve as their theological formation consultant and try to get the speakers that they're looking for. So so far so good over these last few years. In October we did a Spirituality Futures Day with Father Ed Foley from Chicago, and we had a panel of people who reacted to what he was saying. It was really a challenging day where we had this room full of people really listening to where's this whole area of church and spirituality going into the future. And Father Ed tried to push us towards being what he called a liquid church, a church that goes, not just stays in these walls of Resurrection, but goes out to the community, out to this world, to make a difference in this world. So I thought Father Ed really pushed us on some things last October. I really believe, and what I've heard from this parish and from other adults in this parish, is that Scripture continues to be something that people desire to understand more. And so this past year we did a whole series on Psalms, and then we followed that up with a series in Advent on the book, or the prophet Isaiah. And I think both were very popular. We've kind of hit on a nice format where we have a morning session and an evening session to allow people to come to either one of those, and whatever fits their schedule the best. And so I had a blast facilitating both of those sessions, and I think people enjoyed them as well. We've bought into the Chosen series, which I'm telling you, in my years in doing adult enrichment, working at the diocese and in the spirituality center at St. Norbert Abbey, and now at Resurrection, there's hardly a thing that has changed my life more than the Chosen series. This series, looking at the life of Jesus and his followers, is just absolutely phenomenal. And so we are in the midst of season 4 right now. We were kind of on a little hiatus since they couldn't figure out how to get that thing distributed out to us. It's going to kickstart again now in the fall, so keep your eyes open for that. But the Chosen has been very popular again. We've been showing it in the mornings, showing it in the evenings, and people are showing up. Because we were on a hiatus, we did a kind of a different series. The person who plays the role of Jesus in The Chosen, Jonathan Rumi, he put out a documentary called Jonathan and Jesus. What's it look like to play the role of Jesus and then be recognized all over the world, wherever he goes, as Jesus? Can you imagine that? So that documentary has been really interesting. We have the final one coming up next Tuesday. I really believe that Advent and Lent are a time to really give a buffet of offerings to all of you, so that you can choose what works best for you. Written resources, online programming, in-person programming. Sometimes I get the critique like, man, there's so much, I can't go to everything, I can't eat all this, I can't digest all of this. I'm like, hey, if you go to the Golden Corral, which I never do, but if you did, you know, would you eat everything on the menu? No, you would never hit everything on the buffet, right? That's kind of the way I see Advent and Lent. I provide a whole lot, pick, choose, see what works for you. So we did that again this Advent and Lent. Our Revealed and Auditio Divina podcasts have been coming out every couple of weeks. We've got 35 episodes now of Revealed out there on the website, so if you want to check those out, if you haven't done so already, we've had some really super interesting guests, ranging from Kevin Borseth and Dick Bennett to Heather, a person who lives on the streets, and find out what it's like to live in her shoes, to be, you know, what's a day in the life for Heather, who lives in shelters. We also, during seasonal times, Advent and Lent, we put out one word recording, so it's a daily reflection on the scriptures of that day. So we did that for Advent, did that for Lent, and those seem to be very popular as well. This year, for our town hall meetings, we tried to take a little bit different approach, and that was to, first of all, to engage in the topic that we do as a parish, and that was sacraments, right? Moments of grace. And then, instead of having speakers come to the parish hall, and we'd have maybe 10 or a dozen people come and listen to that speaker, and we'd engage in conversation, we decided to take it on the road. And so we focused on a sacrament a month, and then we went to a place out here in the community somewhere and visited with a person who reflected that sacrament in some form or fashion. So Father Tom and I did that, and I thought we had 7 pretty interesting conversations out in the community with some really interesting people. So those are still all online. You can always go back and check those out and see what you can learn from that. And then I just wanted to point out that, you know, we came up as a team with this theme this past year of Moments of Grace, and I brought that to the National Association for Lay Ministers, which I'm a part of, and I kind of pushed that a little bit, like, wouldn't that be a great theme to explore our baptismal call with that theme of Moments of Grace? And they bought it. So they're actually using that as a theme across the country, this theme of Moments of Grace in all of what they're doing. So I just thought that's a way that resurrection is having an effect not only in this community, but on the national scene as well. Okay. So that's adult enrichment. I'm going to shift over to mission outreach. Again, a lot going on here, and we could say a whole lot more than what's on the screen, but here are some of the highlights. So our mission outreach mini grants that we have each year. This year we had $48,000 to distribute. We had a committee of people who gathered and looked at the 25, I think it was, grant applications that came in, and selected, I think it was 16 organizations to receive that $48,000. They range from local organizations to places like Okolona, as well as some international service organizations. So kind of a nice combination there. But 48,000, I think, well, it's the most that we have distributed since I've been here, and that's a pretty hefty amount. I just want to give you a little comparison. So I serve on the Rice Bowl committee for the diocese. And so that's all that the diocese collects, the Rice Bowl money during Lent. And then they get to keep 25% locally. So 75% goes to national, international endeavors, but 25% locally. This year we had $15,000 to distribute. So a few weeks ago we met at the diocese and we decided what organizations had applied and who was going to get the money. $15,000. I'm like, $15,000 is peanuts compared to what we give away at Resurrection Parish. So we make a really big impact on this community and communities beyond with the monies that we have. We sent another team down to Okolona this year. You probably saw some of the pictures. We had people putting up awnings on buildings. We had people putting in flooring, painting, cleaning, doing all kinds of incredible stuff down in Okolona for the sisters in the Excel project. A big part of our mission outreach, I think, is our connection to whatsoever you do. So when I came here, Father Tom said, you know, one of the things you might think about doing is connecting this parish to whatsoever you do and what you've been doing in the community, and getting us engaged in the community in that way as well. And so there's been a number of parishioners who have been involved in Streetlights Outreach, our block parties that we do during the summer, as well as our weekly street presence that we do from May through November. So there's been just a nice number of parishioners involved in that. So it's been a lot of parishioners involved in providing food and drink for the people on the street. So every week you might see the invitation to make sandwiches and provide chips and soda and water and all of that. That's all coming in from people here at Resurrection Parish. Got a lot of people doing a Monty outreach service in terms of going out to the senior homes in our area, apartments and homes, and helping them to stay in their homes by doing simple home adjustments, some grocery shopping, and some listening ear visitation. So that's a Monty outreach. And then Spokes of Hope is our bike repair program. And last night we were at Spokes of Hope. I was telling Jerry, since he's associated with St. Vincent de Paul, that's where our bike shop is. We pumped out in 2.5 hours almost 30 bikes to people who need bikes on the streets. And so we have parishioners involved in that as well. Service Saturdays, each month we strive to have a service opportunity from 10 to noon. This year we did some really interesting things, going to Rick's Toy Box, making those little cars that get distributed out. We went to Paul's Pantry, St. Vincent de Paul, we did trail cleanup, et cetera, et cetera. As usual, the Tree of Giving and the Family Christmas program were very, very successful in collecting gifts for families, as well as gift cards for organizations that need them. Ecumenical Partnership for Housing. Not only do we continue to sponsor our parish home, but we also had the EPH families right here for their annual Christmas party. So if you can imagine, you know, just a boatload of adults and children taking every square inch of this parish facility with a meal and movies and games and discussion and music. It was quite a night. So the generosity of this parish in opening its doors for APH, I think, said a lot. We also, I thought, had a nice footprint in the Be the Light walk down at the KI Center. That's a walk for suicide awareness. We're going to continue to build that, I hope, so that the number of people who walk in memory, honoring those who have completed suicide, continues to increase in this parish, because it's such a dire need to be aware of how many people complete suicide each year. And when you see the KI Center full of people whose lives have been affected by suicide, and then walk around the river area downtown, when you see that, it's profoundly affecting your life. And then lastly, we do a whole lot of collections, as you know. So we collected blankets, we collected granola bars, we collected shaving products. We do a lot of collections, as you know. We always try to pinpoint those collections on where they're needed. And so we don't do a collection just to collect. We do collections because people on the streets need blankets, and people in shelters need shaving products, and kids in school need granola bars. We do collections because they're needed. So the generosity of this parish and helping all of that happen is pretty incredible. So I didn't mention beyond all of that, my favorite thing to do in the whole week isn't even on any of those slides. It's playing wiffle ball right out here in the yard after the 8:30 mass with the little kids. That's where I get to be a little kid and pitch and kill my hip a little bit more and whatever. But that's what I really, really love to do in between the masses. So whenever somebody asks me, so what's the best part of being here on Sunday morning? Yeah, the homily, yeah, that's pretty good. Music, yeah, it's good. The worship, the community, that's all good. But when it comes to pitching throwing the ball up and the kid just about hits it on the roof, that's priceless. So, all right. Any questions or comments? I don't know who I'm turning this over to.
Back to me.
All right, here you go, Justin.
let's give a round of applause for the staff. I mean, this is incredible work that they're doing, and they put a whole lot of time into helping us be Resurrection. At this time, is there any other open kind of questions?
It's not a question, but when we're talking about things that occur on a regular basis in the parish, we should not forget the Hilltoppers, who meet monthly from September through May and provide really great programs and a lot of great hospitality. And the Women's Guild also was mentioned. They have that big fetch, but they are called upon to fund a whole lot of things at this parish that nobody knows about. So they really deserve a lot of credit for filling in the gaps.
That's a very good call.
Any other groups that we missed that are out there that you see? Knights of Columbus too. Knights of Columbus.
Disciples Reading Group. Right.
The small groups, Wednesday morning group, the men's group, the mixed gender group. There's a Tuesday morning group that meets to break open the scriptures after Mass on Tuesdays.
I think Kevin mentioned there are other small groups, right?
What about the Servites and ground crew?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our Spade Brigade, and we're looking for a new name. Apparently, Servites was kind of a Bishop Mornell thing, and the group didn't really like it, but they never really told him that. So, so right now it's like the campus lawn crew, but that doesn't have a ring to it. So if you come up with a good name, let me know.
Kevin, do you know why they meet so early? Because they want to get their own machine quickly.
All right.
Now you know why I have no idea where I'm going. Before we go where I don't know where I'm going, we want to thank those members who have been on the Pastoral Council, who are going off the Pastoral Council. So hold your applause. Bob Fry, thank you for your service. Marge Schiffer, thank you for your service. I don't see Charlie here. Justin, thank you for your service. And Bridget, thank you. Appreciate your help. Are there new members here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Terry.
Raise your hand, guys.
Thank you, Katie. There you go. Jim. Thank you. You step up. This is why we don't know where we're going. Yeah. Jeff's going. We don't know where we're going because you're going to bring new ideas and new possibilities, and then something else develops and moves, and as you saw within our staff, and this is what happens, and it happens beautifully, but it can be annoying at times. So you don't know where things are going, and then you adjust, and then you shift here, and then Father Tom has another idea, and it's like staff's like, oh, there we go, and we go again. But that's the gift. And I think that's what we do best here at Resurrection, not just now, but all the stories and all your history here, you've seen it in action. You know, it's not just responding to issues or possibilities out there, but it's actually creating and being innovators and being people of faith who are called to different areas, different possibilities, and meeting somebody on the street or meeting somebody that we know. And it's like, how do we not just respond, but how do we create something that will give their life a lift and a hope that we don't have? And sometimes that happens internally, sometimes that externally, but it happens. And I think that's the gift. And I really want to take a moment to really say thank you to, as you heard from our staff. I generally, I won't say generally, I always hire people who have a great sense of life and have a great sense of faith and have a great sense of mission. And if they're I'm not an administrator who's gonna sit down and say, okay, today we have 3 things on the agenda, you do this, you do that, you do this. It's like, it's just not me. And so I hire people who already have that agenda. You know, that's what Tony was saying. He's like, he already has a huge thing in whatsoever you do. He knows that what happens there. Let us in. let us in. You know, Kevin comes with his, Carolyn comes with, all of them have come with the experience. They're all have been bosses longer than I have, or more than I have, and it's wonderful to have that. Again, it has its challenges, and it also has great gifts that come forth. So thank you. I really appreciate all of you on staff and pastoral council and finance council coming together. That's what makes this all happen. So just real quick, one more thing happening, and it's an up and coming group in the parish. It's the Care for God's Creation, Care for Creation, kind of an environmental group. How do we respond to the challenges and difficulties out there environmentally, and using energy well and productively, and many different ways that we're working towards. So keep us in your prayer. It's just kind of starting out, and I have great hopes that we can continue to do that as well. Again, how do we not just respond, but how do we innovatively bring about a good future for the next generations in our environment and in our world today? So let's take a moment in prayer and gratitude, just asking for the wonderful sense of life and joy that has come to us this evening, hopefully enlivening our hearts, our souls, helping us to dream even more fully into where God is calling us, even though we don't know where we're going, but we have that desire to follow in the ways of God's Spirit. So bless us and gift us and strengthen us as we pray, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Justin, for emceeing us this evening. I'm going to run out because I'm going to head over to, I forget where it is, but the 8th grade graduation is having a dinner downtown, and they're holding a chicken dinner for me. And it's probably cold by now, but I'm going to eat it anyway. I'm hungry.
Take the cookies home.
Thank you all for, take the cookies home with you, and thank you.